I certainly wasn't expecting to see any news coming out about the future of Kylo Ren or Ben Solo for Disney Star Wars. But yesterday we got something that kind of surprised us all. Not something that's going to happen, not a project that's actually in the works, but instead something that was pitched to Lucasfilm, something that was pitched to Disney that they turned down and decided not to do. And apparently Adam Driver himself was very heavily invested in this, but it will never see the light of day. There was supposed to be, potentially, a Star Wars movie, The Hunt for Ben Solo, set in the aftermath of The Rise of Skywalker. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, how does that make sense? He fucking died. Very famously, The Rise of Skywalker, he died in one of the most retarded ways we could possibly see. Yet, nevertheless, he did die and sacrificed himself so that Rey could live on. But apparently, the execs at Disney, Bob Iger himself, also didn't see how Ben Skywalker. It's so easy to get it confused because, Disney bastardizes everything. Ben Skywalker is a character, an incredible character from the Star Wars expanded universe. The thing that Disney shut down and decanonized and then pilfered and picked parts of for their bastardized trash. Because it actually kind of makes sense for Luke to name his son Ben as opposed to Han and Leia. But anyway, let's get into this. Geeksandgamers.com. Bob Iger reportedly killed the hunt for Ben Solo Star Wars film with Adam Driver despite Lucasfilm support. And there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this, about how Star Wars fans, how fucking desperate Star Wars fans are and how pathetic it, quite frankly, is at times. You got so many people out there just bashing Bob Iger over their head. How could you not let this happen? How could you stop this? How could you do this to us? We could have had this. But let's get into it. Actor Adam Driver has revealed that he spent 2 years developing a Star Wars sequel film with director Steven Soderbergh, a project titled The Hunt for Ben Solo, which reportedly had Lucasfilm support, but was ultimately shut down by Disney execs, including Bob Iger. Speaking with the Associated Press, Driver discussed his time as Kylo Ren and his openness to returning to the Star Wars franchise under the right circumstances. According to the interview, those circumstances came in 2021 when Driver began collaborating with Academy Award-winning filmmaker Steven Soderbergh on a film that would take place after The Rise of Skywalker. The concept centered on the idea that Ben Solo, having renounced the dark side, survived the events of Episode 9. To bring the story to life, Soderbergh and writer Rebecca Blunt worked alongside Driver to develop a detailed treatment before bringing in Contagion and the Report screenwriter Scott Z. Burns to draft a full screenplay. Driver said the project was formally presented to Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy, Executive Vice President Carrie Beth, and creative lead Dave Filoni. So another thing to keep in mind, for all you stupid, miserable fucks that want to pretend like Dave Filoni has not been involved with all these failures we've seen over the last several years of Star Wars, for years this has been his role in terms of creative lead, creative director, all of this stuff. Every dog shit project that you've seen go by, Dave Filoni has been involved in these talks. Just want to let all you stupid fucks know that. According to his account, Lucasfilm eventually responded enthusiastically to the idea and saw potential in the story. A corporate shutdown. The excitement didn't last. Once the project reached Disney headquarters, the reception changed. Driver revealed that when the film was brought to Disney CEO Bob Iger and studio chairman Alan Bergman, they rejected it. They didn't see how Ben Solo was alive, Driver explained. That decision ended the project. Now, I have a couple things that I want to say. One thing that you often hear about the sequels are, well, this was terrible, but Kylo Ren was a really cool, compelling character, blah, blah, blah. They had no idea what they wanted to fucking do with Kylo Ren. Much like the rest of the story, the rest of the sequels, they had no idea what they wanted to do with that character, right? We know they took inspiration, again, from the Star Wars expanded universe, the shit that they told you wasn't good enough, then tried to rip off. They took inspiration, this idea of Jason Solo, right? That kind of quasi became Ben Solo and some of the things that he went through in the books. They ripped a lot of that stuff off, or tried to in some semblance. They didn't know what they wanted to do with this fucking character. Yes, I do think it's true that Ben Solo Kylo Ren is probably one of the more compelling characters from the sequel trilogy. Does that mean that he's a great character? No, it absolutely does not. It means that people see this this potential that they could have done if they told a good story. People might have respected Adam Driver's performance in doing the best with the little that he was given from them and stuff like that. But is this really some great, incredible fucking character? The reality is, no, he wasn't. Secondly, he fucking died. All right? We saw him die. This is a problem with Star Wars and has been a problem for a long time. The insistence on bringing back these characters that are dead. Death never matters. Nothing ever matters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that Darth Maul got cut in half, got bisected, right? Spine cut in half. Dude couldn't shit, yet he was able to stay alive for 15 years on this planet, whatever. And then they brought him back. Bad fucking decision. We saw what happened when they decided to bring Palpatine back in this. The way that they brought him back in Rise of Skywalker. Stupid, retarded decision. And look, it was controversial when they did it in Dark Empire years and years ago. At least then you have the explanation of essence transfer and what happened as opposed to literally just out of nowhere coming back to life. This is a problem. Death means nothing in Star Wars anymore. Ahsoka, World Between Worlds, no problem. We'll do time travel and we'll save Ahsoka, Dave Filoni. Death means nothing in Star Wars. So I see the reason why a lot of fans are out there saying, how could he not come? You could have done this. Yeah, because this is all Star Wars is now. Nobody's ever really gone. Nobody ever really dies. There's not ever any actual fucking stakes. And in 2021, they go and they pitch this in the aftermath of the failure, the monumental failure of The Rise of Skywalker, which resulted in us not seeing a movie in theaters for 7 years by the time Mandalorian and Grogu comes out. Now, could you have done something maybe before that? I guess you could have done something, but I think you need to stop bringing fucking characters you've killed back. I think that there needs to be fucking stakes, right? That's what there has to be in any story. When you start removing those things, it doesn't matter. Like, what would it matter? So what would that ending mean? That he fucking sacrifices himself in his life force or whatever to bring Rey back, and yet here we are. Fuck that. That's my perspective on it. And you have so many fans that are so desperate for something that they'll try to convince themselves that Kylo Ren was a good character when he had no direct fucking arc whatsoever. They had no idea what they actually wanted to do with this character. But because you see that, I could see in an ideal world where there could have been this unrealized potential, that you convince yourself that, well, he's the best thing that they had in the sequels. That doesn't mean much. That might be like being the smartest retard or the tallest midget. And now we're finding out that Bob Iger said no, Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni said yes, let's greenlight this, let's bring him back to life. And Bob Iger said no. So a bunch of Disney Star Wars fans are melting down right now at Bob Iger for not greenlighting this. I think that Soderbergh also had a comment. Yeah, I really enjoyed making the movie in my head. I'm just sorry the fans won't get to see it. So there you have it, a project that we knew nothing about that apparently was dead on arrival. And it's just coming out now because Adam Driver is speaking out about it. What do you guys think about this? Would this have been a good idea? Should they have brought him back to life? Like all of this stuff? I don't know, man. I think it's a good thing to stop desperately trying to bring your dead characters back to life. That's me. That's my feeling. And I think that maybe Star Wars should stop doing that. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.